Hi friends, I am back with another video. I am trying to cover that light, but I am, as the title says, I am going to show my Halloween makes from the first time I used Tim Holtz products. I wanted to do a shadow box initially, and that seemed really intimidating, and that's why this one isn't finished per se. I could still use it like this. I used the Tim Holtz tissue paper and his backdrops. The only thing that really isn't Tim Holtz is this web doily that came from American Crafts. And sorry for the shadows, I'm still working those out. And then these punch outs right here. I did decorate the rest of it with Tim Holtz tape or labels, with his ephemera packs and inked it and all that. So that's what this one is. I wanted to move on from this to something else because I didn't really know how to set up or what I wanted for the shadow box that I wanted to include. I wanted some more of the 3D elements, but I still hadn't fleshed out an idea. That'll come to me, and that'll be a project for later or next year. So from there, I moved on to a panel. I don't know why I didn't do this in the shadow box, but anyway, this panel is from the box, is from this. This used to be this little square box with a saying, and I took it to heart when Tim Holtz said, use what you have. And so I did. I didn't have any of his shadow boxes or any of his panels, so I broke this part off of the back of the box and you just use that. That's the back of it where you hang it. So I made it look, use the broken off piece to my advantage, and I used some dollar store items. These hands came from the dollar store. So did the bones, because honestly I couldn't I couldn't buy any more Tim Holtz stuff at the moment. But I did use the only things on here besides the panel and the bones and this skull they're all everything else is Tim Holtz. I ended up using one of his window frames, a backdrop, or a moon, and then one of the broken windows that he had. As an afterthought, I should have used one of the lights around here and kind of finagled the rest of the light in the back, but maybe for another year. I used one of the die cuts in one of his new releases that he did this year, and I just layered that one up a couple of times and used light, Lost Shadow, to add a highlight to the die cut. I also die cut a bunch of the edges to use this one pointy edge here to make like a shelf for the gent here to stand on. And I used some shiny, it's like a shiny pen. It's got this like black ink and glitter in it. So that's what I used for those. And I used some glossy accents for the bat that I used for a bow tie for him. And this skull is one of these from the dollar store. I just cut off the front end. Sorry. I cut off the front end and the jaw so that it could look like you can see his chin there. Technically, this is a bit big, but I kind of wanted to go through with and flesh out the whole idea that was in my mind. Oh, the only other thing too, I'm sorry, that I just noticed is these spider webs. I used them sideways and I layered them over the moth wings so that it looks kind of like they're also part of the wings of the creature. And then I used one of those chipboard phrases that says dreadfully wicked, and the glow in the dark texture paste, the grit paste glow, I think it's called. Yeah, that's what it is. And so I know these don't last very long. And he said something about, oh, these are the microflakes. So anyway, it's around here. There's a mess everywhere. So I did that one, and this is going to my niece. I added a bone here, and these were white styrofoam bones, and I just painted them, and these are glow in the dark hands, and they do glow in the dark along with the grit paste glow, which is kind of a cool feature. I didn't know that they were going to still be able to do that past the acrylic paint. But it adds a fun touch, and you can't really see it, but the grit paste glow doesn't glow forever or whatever, but it just glows for a little bit of time. And then I added these flowers to bookend his shoulders, so he's kind of framed within the panel along with the hands. And then I sewed velvet trim from Tim Holtz and then tied a bone in the middle of it to kind of add an accent to the top of the velvet. So that's what I did for this panel. I thought it was pretty clever. I don't know if I'm going to do the back. I might just paint it black or add another panel. When I was finished with this, it took a long time for me to do because I was still trying to figure out how to use these elements. And with all the inspiration, you kind of want to do the same thing and be inspired, but you don't want to you have a vision in your head and sometimes you don't. And so I started playing around with the other stuff. This is the little dangles, and I wanted to paint one or two of them orange or white and give them that faux look, but that was an afterthought. This only came about because I made a mistake. This was the second project I did, and I went over and hung out with some scrapbook ladies here locally. Joni Muse came over and visited, and Tara from Paper Snob picked her up, and then I went over and hung out, and we had a scrapbooking session together. It was really fun. I only took Halloween stuff, and then I didn't have any project really in mind because I didn't bring the 3D element that I had been working on in the meanwhile. And so I just covered a mailer envelope, and I covered it in the backdrops. I took pieces of them and started covering the window, and then when I got home, I did the grit paste glow. And so then I started embellishing it. As far as I got that day, it was just the envelope part, and then I had these two, I think this is another piece of the envelope, and so I just started decorating these two elements. Not everything in this envelope little packet or booklet is Tim Holtz. I did use some of these sheets from 49 and Market. So those were fun to use along with them, and they were a little bit thinner, so that way I could keep it kind of light for the thing, because I had to repair it quite a bit here on this edge. It kept tearing on me. So the opening I also did backwards because I had never done one of these envelope folios. And so what I did to fix the back of it, because it was just kind of not completely closed, is for the flap, I should have done it the other way, with the flap on this side, but I didn't want to lose the window, and so that's why I folded it that way. That's how this was coming about. I was just kind of improvising. I used some of the stamps from Tim Holtz, and these were pre-made ephemera that I already had. I had fodder that I had made, like that one, and then most of the stuff in here is ephemera from his Halloween pack. So after the envelope collage that I did on there, I had some of these pre-made ephemera, and then the extra embellishing of the washi tape is afterwards. I used some of the later on after I started decorating everything. It got grungier and grungier the more I worked on it. I should bring it down here and leave it down here because the lighting, I'm so sorry. Still trying to figure out the lighting because I haven't filmed in a while. So here we go. Sorry if it moves. This got grungier and grungier the more I started to work in it, and I think that's what makes it so work intensive and kind of addicting to play with, honestly. I used the phrases, and here's some more of the pre-made ephemera that I had done. I added these 49 and Market ladybugs on here, and they kind of just melt into the background because it's kind of like washi stickers, but you see them all around. Those I added as an afterthought, and then I did the pen sketching around there too. I had worked on these when we had our scrap date or whatever, and I had all the green, and then when I came home, I added the 49 and Market border and these little ladybugs, and then I started distressing it with the black soot, and I think that's the Distress Oxide, but it was really green when I first started with it. I made this one a little pocket to tuck behind her in the label there, and added the word mischief down here. I hope you saw that because I wasn't really paying attention to the screen. This is some of Tim Holtz older washi. I can't recall what it was, but I cut it out to make it look more like to have more interest down here. And like I said, I just kept embellishing things. I probably could have added a whole lot more. I added splatters after the fact, and this is where the ladybugs started, and so then I just started adding more to this one because I felt like this one stood out because I hadn't distressed this. This was the last thing I distressed. Once I started with all the splatters and stuff, it just kind of, I just got it, it got out of hand for me, or I was having a lot of fun with it. I'd like to phrase it more like that. I use these, what are these called? The people? I don't know. The found relatives. And I added this no one would bother them here, and added a bat right over their faces. I thought that was kind of like a creepy cool touch, and they're sitting on this label. I added this Bones stencil with some ink. I got a lot of use out of these. These were really fun to play with. I tried to use as much of the things that I had for this. And then this is a Jenny Bolin punch. It's like a star quilt punch. And then so I grunched it. I folded these up and scrunched them. And then I added an eye there. And then this is the back. I used a star stencil that comes from these, the Element stencils, and it was this one right here. And I also used the Distress inks for that one. And then finally, with the envelope that I had folded in half, I made 2 tags. There's this one right here, and I stitched it, and I used some of the 49 and Market repositionable fabric tape. And then I did a, what do you call those things? Anyway, that thing. Some of the pre-made stamping that I had done, fodder. And then I did this one with the die-cut moon and some of the die-cut bats. Some 49 and Market mushrooms, what horrors they had seen. And then this has Lost Shadow, I think, on the edge of the crow. I'm pretty sure. And then I added a bit of water. So there's that tag, and then I did this other tag, which was more work intensive. This was really super fun to play with. I wanted to just keep adding more and more things, but it was really fun to come up with the panels as I went. These are antique photo corners, and then this is all still Tim Holtz. This is from the labels stamp set that he came out with, and then this is part of the sticker book where I added his little top hat cocked to one side. Then I just really went ham on the distressing with the ink. This is some flower bouquet paper. It's like a cloth paper, and I stamped on it because I didn't want it to go in the trash, but then I stamped a whole bunch too before I started playing with all this stuff, and I stamped a skull. I don't know if that was a Heidi Swapp skull. I'm pretty sure it is, from last year's collection of hers. And then I made a little, like a pop out almost of this eye die cut. Added some skulls to this flower die cut here. And then this also, let's see here. No, I didn't distress that one. I added one of the big background sets from him. from Tim Holtz. What is it called? Oh gosh, the Shattered. I used this one. And I used it on the edge with some Villainous Potion. I used one of his big die cuts. And then this is 49 and Market Moth. This is a hole punched butterfly that I had from years ago. And then on the bottom is I cut some in like burlap. I was going to show you what they look like. Here we go. I used the bug set from Tim Holtz. I can't remember. The Etymology, I think. And so I stamped them on some dollar store wired burlap. Because that's what I found. And I wanted to have that kind of look. And so that's what I did. I cut it out. I fussy cut it and then I backed it behind the stamp. I used the bat stencil. And that was super fun. And then I used that glitter pen again to highlight some of those bats so that they're nice and glittery in the background. So I thought that was super fun. This is my favorite part, adding those skulls to the flowers. And then the last, that cello tape that he has is really fun. And it came in handy because this was also falling apart because I kept wetting it and distressing it so much. This last one is a stamp of his with the web. I used a star stencil that he has with the grit paste glow. And then I used his frosted crystal embossing powder. And that one came out, it ended up making this really dull. So I went back and I added glossy accents to it. And I also stamped the word wicked. I think this is watercolored. I think I did the orange in watercolor and then I die cut it. And then I stamped the wicked with Villainous Potion. And then I just kind of did the background of it with the purple. Then I did the embossing, which is why this spot, I think I might have burnt it. I'm not sure. But anyway, it gave it this really cool effect with the frosted crystal. And then I wanted to leave that part alone. And then I added glossy accents to most of the other part of the spider as well. And so that one also glows in the dark, but you know how that is. Like, how do I even show that? But that was the end of this. So I worked on those first after this whole ordeal. The last part of it that I did was adding this button because I added one of these reinforcement thingies. I can't remember what they're called right now. But I forgot to put a circle because that was going to be my tie. So I added a shank button. I pulled some wire through the shank, glued that down on the inside. That's going to be hard to show. I don't even know if that's going to come out. Right there. Glued the wire shut into the paper so that it doesn't catch into my tag. Oh yeah, I also put one of these die cuts in the back because if you take it out, it's going to look like the envelope and it kind of takes away from the aesthetic of the of the envelope. And so it was just once I did that with the shank button, this whole side started coming apart. And this whole side right here started coming apart, and I was kind of I didn't want to ruin it, so I started doctoring it and adding tissue and some of this paper tape that he has that came in handy. I really like these because they kind of work like the tissue paper, but they're sticky, so came in clutch. And I used a button. They came from the scrap exchange over at the libraries. And then finally I worked on the closure because I knew that this was going to be the result of the button, and so I needed a string closure. I used the baker's twine, added this tag, used two of the tags that I had because I bought 2 packs one year, or I had 1 year's ephemera pack and then I bought another one the following year. So it had 2 of these. I added a reinforcement little label from, these are from the reinforcement sets from Elizabeth Craft Designs. I colored it in red. It's cut out of craft cardstock. And then I added the red ink. Added one of these fragile labels from the Tim Holtz stuff. And then because this tag sticks out like this, let me see if I can insert it. Sorry guys. Because this tag goes here and that bat kind of sticks out, I decided to add more bats to kind of add to the touch of this. And like they're also flying along and they're kind of going with the theme there. So I thought that was a neat touch. I really liked it. It was a lot of fun to play with. And then the thing kind of just closes like that. I tuck the tags in and then that's how it sits closed. So thank you so much for watching. I know I haven't been making videos. I really haven't been scrapbooking. I've been doing a lot of this, like making fodder and doing a lot of labels. I've been watching a lot of junk journaling videos, to be honest, and so I'm making a lot of fodder, and I'm kind of playing along with those things. So if you're still subscribed, still watching my videos, thank you so much for hanging out, hanging around, staying, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, welcome, and if you've been following me for a while, welcome back. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.